Hello everyone, I'll be bringing you some interesting information surrounding the whole mystery on how the Mistress Nichol Kessinger might have come in contact with Chris Watts, and why she would have Googled not only Chris in 2017, but also his wife, Shanann Watts. And my intuition on this one is very strong, because not only does it make sense, but you can hear the slip-ups that she has done in her interviews regarding this subject. Now, if you haven't seen the other video I did on the possible reason why NK had known Shanann and Chris, I will attach that to the end of this video. And for right now, I'll start off with the discovery where it says, I asked Nichol if Chris went to a specific gym. She did not know if Chris ever went to a gym and denied going to a gym with Chris. She said Chris worked out in his basement. Nichol said she uses 24-hour fitness at 120th and Vrain in Broomfield, Colorado. Now, of course, I was interested to see where this was located exactly. So this is a 24-hour fitness, which she claimed that she attended. And at the time, NK was living in the Thornton, North Glen area. So it wasn't too far from her apartment. And this is how far it is from Chris's house on Saratoga Trail to the 24-hour fitness that she's speaking of. And now that we know Chris was living a double life, it's highly possible that he was attending a gym. Because, and it's been heard by one of Chris's ex-girlfriends, that he has always gone to the gym prior to meeting Shanann. And then we also heard Chris himself when he was explaining that girls would look at him and kind of smile at him. So it would make sense that that type of side-eyeing and maybe flirtatious events happened at a gym. Because as far as we're aware of, the only places he would go to were to pick up the girls from the daycare, go home, and go to work. And out in the work field, the only place that he is most likely around females is at the office where NK worked. And then in the discovery, 2 other people noted that it was a possibility that Chris did have a gym membership. And I'm sure that would have been easy to get around with Shanann's schedule. Being that she was a stay-at-home mom, he could have gotten off work early every day, every other day, whatever that would be. So he would get off early, possibly head to the gym, and then go pick up the girls, and then head home. And then he would have to either play it off with working out in the gym in their basement or not working out in the gym basement at all. Now, their friend Josh says in the discovery, it says, I asked about Josh's knowledge of Chris's mental health. Josh had no concerns. He did not know Chris to see counselors or take medications for mental health matters. Josh described Chris as being pretty calm and level-headed. He was not the type to get angry or upset. He was frustrated by normal things, such as the gym being too crowded, as it was in San Diego. It was nothing out of the ordinary to Josh. So it's kind of ironic that he says that he would be frustrated by normal things about the gym being overcrowded in San Diego, which was their last vacation before the North Carolina trip. And it also seemed on Shanann's Facebook, she never ever posted anything about Chris going to a gym. So it seems as if Josh and Chris went to a gym, or maybe Chris had complained to Josh about a gym being too crowded. Now, whether this is something that Shanann knew about or not, Josh did. And Josh and Cassie were very close friends to Shanann and Chris. So I wouldn't be surprised if Josh took this knowledge that he knew Chris of going to a gym, stating it to his wife Cassie, and then Cassie then returned telling Shanann. But that's neither here or there. We just know for a fact that he would get frustrated by normal things such as a crowded gym. And if Chris was willing to take on an affair and hide that from his wife, there's no doubt in my mind that he would be able to do something as simple as hiding a gym membership and possibly taking the time out to go there. He had many excuses that he told his wife during the times that he was at NK's house. So there would have been even more excuses on why he got off late, why he picked the girls up late, blah, blah, blah. Now, Cassie, who is the wife of Josh, states in the discovery, Chris was working out and running a lot more. He runs around the neighborhood. Cassie thought he had a gym membership, but did not know where. Shanann got him weights and an elliptical for the house. Now, this is also something that could have built resentment towards Shanann from Chris. Because if she was not wanting him to go to a gym, and maybe this is something that he really enjoyed, being out with the public setting, even though he's an introvert, so this is kind of contradicting. But then again, he wasn't so much as an introvert with NK. So maybe he did like a more public setting as a gym would have. Maybe he felt more comfortable there. He could be more his self like he was with NK. And obviously this could have made him mad. It could have built resentment towards Shanann. Now I'm going to run through the possible slip-ups through NK's interview that she done on August 16th, 2018, August 17th, and August 21st. Now, some I will be reading and some will be the transcript from her interviews, and then you'll hear her saying it at the same time. And this will be pointing out every single time that NK said the word gym in her conversations, and how it sounds like Chris was in a gym. And this is exactly why and what makes me think that they did meet at a gym sometime 2016 or 2017.
Phone records don't lie. People do.
So this was the first one on August 16, 2018.
I'm so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
She hadn't been feeling good. Not because of any, just...
Like, I got sick prior to this whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding with the fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case, because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations. But on the other end, I think if you do just that only.
And you can barely hear this one now, but it is in the transcript, and it's kind of confusing why her father would just out of the blue say the gym. So this one is a little confusing for me, but the rest is more interesting. Maybe he was going to say something like she was so sick that she hadn't gone to the gym.
In your relationship building through the...
Yeah, I mean, like, and if you go, like, maybe, like, a week further back, like, there's times, like, I was trying to help him find an apartment, like, just for him, not for me, but for him and his kids, to get set up, and, like, there's times where I'm like, well, where's your wife moving to, like, how close is she going to be to you? You should be within like 30 minutes of your kids, so they're close, and like you want to be close to their school and close to your gym, and like what's your price range? Like, I was helping him get all of this stuff set up, and it was like in a very decent manner. And I don't know if all of that is in text. Some of it's probably on the phone. Like, at this point, I've talked to him so much that I don't even know which parts are like verbalized and which parts are texted at this point, but we can figure it out.
Now, when she says you should be within like 30 minutes of your kids so they're close, and you want to be close to their school and close to your gym. Now, just choosing those words alone, it sounds like he does have a gym right now at that moment. And from the map, from the beginning, he was about 26 minutes away from the gym when he lived in Frederick, the gym that NK was attending.
Does his wife come back with him at that time? Or
yeah, they all came back.
They all come back at the same time?
They all came back. And then, yeah, so he continues to just, you know, tell me that this is like what he wants, and so I took the time, and you will see that in the text too, where I I found this apartment. It was perfect. It was so cute. I was like, it's in your price range. It's like 6 miles from the gym. It's 23 miles from work. I'm like, you know, it's super close to Frederick. It's going to be by your kid's school. Like, this is the spot, you know, and I told him, I was like, I'll keep looking for more places. And he's like, well, there's some that I want to go see too. And he actually had me thinking that he was going to go look at these places this week. Before all this.
So this is fairly recent then.
Oh, this just happened.
And then on this one, she says, like, I found this apartment. It was perfect. It was so cute. I was like, and it's in your price range, and it's 6 miles from the gym. It's 23 miles from work. So that right there, again, it sounds like he legit had a gym. And again, it's possible that she just had another slip up. Now this one, it is the day prior to August 13th, when she couldn't remember what she did that Sunday, and when she went to the museum with her parents, and she's just stating that she went to the gym.
Went to the museum, and that's right, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, and they went to brunch prior to that, and I skipped brunch. And I went to the gym.
You shouldn't have. It was good.
I had to do core day. That was the last time I worked out, actually.
That's what we did Sunday, okay.
Now, this one is most interesting, I think, or the next couple are the most interesting because these were cut out of the audio. There is no audio at the end of these conversations. So this first one is August 16th. So you would not be able to hear this on the audio interview, but you can read it from the PDF interview on the transcript. So she says, oh, he gets up and he goes to the gym and he works on his basement. So she legit said that he goes to the gym, catches herself and tries to switch that up with works on his basement. Now that can go two separate ways, that he works in the basement, that she's trying to cover up what she just said, or because Shanann wanted him to clean up the basement and try to fix things so they can sell the house. Maybe she accidentally slipped that out, meaning she meant to say, oops, he doesn't go to the gym, that he works out in his basement. But then there's also this thing that she knows in her head that he has to work on the basement to be able to sell the house. Now, this interview is August 17th, 2018. Now, Kevin Kovacs says, right, I think that's a fair assessment, so let's move on from that. And is also missing audio, but we have the transcripts. There's a couple of questions I didn't ask you yesterday, and they're very specific. You mentioned you guys, obviously, you're into fitness, and so was he. Did you guys go to the same gym? She says, no, he worked out in his basement. I never went to the gym with him. Kovacs says, okay, so do you know him to go to any gyms? Because you said you were planning for his apartment and how he could get to his gym and then do his day, kids, school, and then work. She says, well, yeah, I was trying to get because he's going to have to go to a gym if he had an apartment, because he's not going to be able to set up all that gym equipment in an apartment. And then this one says, but if he were to move, just because he's downsizing so much, I don't think he has the capability. I would love to have a gym in my apartment. That would be nice, but I just didn't think he had the capability, so that's why I brought it up. Because we were even discussing, what gym do you want to go to, And he was like, well, there's an Anytime Fitness over there. And I was like, well, it's, it's close. It's open 24/7. It's big. We had all sorts of discussions about that. And then here are 3 markers on the maps about where he could have gone on the Anytime Fitness. And the one to the left is closer to the 24-hour fitness that she says she goes to. But I'm assuming it wouldn't be that way, and considering they are close, when he could just stick with 24-hour fitness. So it would probably be the one at the top, or it would be one to the right. And then here, Kevin Kovacs says, okay, but you don't know him to have ever visited a gym. She says, not in the time that I was spending time with him. Now, he did work out with me one day at my house. We did a little bit of yoga and an ab routine. I showed him an ab routine, but it wasn't at a gym. Kevin says, okay. She says, it was literally on my living room floor on some yoga mats. And Kevin says, all right, and what gym do you go to? And she says, 24-hour fitness. And he says, which one? She says, the one, it depends on the day, but usually the one off, it's Brandenburg and Vrain on 120th. Now he's specifically asking her here if she's ever known him to visit a gym. And she says, not in the time that I was spending time with him. So that sounds like the time that they were dating through their relationship, when they first started dating through work, that it's possible maybe they didn't spend time together at the gym during this relationship, but it kind of leaves the door open to a possibility that yes, she did know him to visit a gym, because she says not in the time that I was spending time with him. So that means it could have been prior, and that's a big possibility on how they met and why she ended up Googling Chris Watts in 2017, and then a month after she Googled Shanann Watts. Now, this interview is on August 21st, 2018.
Okay, and then when I would get off work, I would sleep. I would go home and nap, and my naps varied in time. Sometimes it was a half an hour, sometimes it was an hour and a half. It was whatever my body needed. And then I would get up, and I would go to the gym, and then after I got back from the gym, he would come over my house, and it would be the same thing, where it was he would keep me up. And I will tell you, without those naps, there's no way I would have been able to keep up with him. No way.
Now here she's stating, I would get up and I would go to the gym, and then after I got back from the gym, he would come over to my house. Now this sounds like it too could be a gym visit together, because we know that he would stay the night over at Nikki's house when Shanann and the girls were in North Carolina. She would stay at his house, or he would stay at her house, her apartment, and he said that he would go home, make breakfast, and get ready for work, and possibly maybe work out in the basement. But that could have been a rushed situation of going home to get all of his work equipment, going to the gym, possibly meeting up with NK, because she did say prior that he would get up in the morning and go to the gym. And this also sounds like that they would go to the gym at different times of the day, because first she says, I would get up and I would go to the gym. And then she says, and then after I got back from the gym, he would come over to my house and it would be the same thing where he would keep me up. That means, and that sounds like, that she went to the gym possibly in the afternoon on certain days, because right after, and this is another possibility, where if they both get off work, because they're getting off work in the same area, they both travel down to the gym, they both work out together. She says he would come over to my house and he would keep her up. So it's a possibility that they could have went to the gym together and or not together in the morning and in the afternoon, because he was sleeping over at her house at night. Now, this is the last one from August 21st, which is another very telling slip.
So you think the Thrive thing contributed to that, or at least his own drive for losing weight and getting in shape, and maybe his attraction to you drove him, because you're pretty physically fit and he was kind of motivated by that. I think, remember you saying that earlier, that you were trying to help him get in better shape.
Well, and I mean, he was already in good physical shape, and he was already taking care of his health and his diet in the gym. I just think he was like, hey, since you're already in this live a healthy lifestyle, would you be willing to just give me some input? Maybe I can fine tune it, you know?
And she says, well, I mean, he was already in good physical shape and he was already taking care of his health and his diet and the gym. So once again, she's blatantly saying that he was going to a gym. Now, it is fully possible that when she says the gym, she could be meaning the basement gym. But I have a feeling, because she did separate them before when she slipped up and said that he went to the gym, the basement. She clearly keeps these separate from each other. There's either the gym or there's the workout equipment in the basement. She's not considering the basement workout equipment as the gym. In my eyes, I mean, maybe different to other people. Of course, this could go either way, but her wording is very specific on saying the gym and slipping up a few times. So I hope this video has given you a new perspective on a different way that they could have met, why that she ended up Googling both of them in 2017. This is possibly the way that she had met Chris. So not only looking up Chris, but then knowing that he's married, and how they would have gotten so close at the beginning of her contract with Anadarko also. So now I will attach the other video that I did with the possibility of how NK had contact with Shanann and knew about Shanann and Chris in a different perspective. I'm going to be going over where it all began, the possible whys and hows the mistress came in contact with Chris and Shanann Watts. Not just with her first Google search of searching for Chris Watts in 2017, but possibly as far back as 2016. So I'll start with this photo that's been floating around Facebook for about a week now, which is the Mistress Nichol Kessinger in October 5th, 2016, as she entered a 45-day fitness challenge. October 2016, this was 10 months before NK would Google Chris Watts, dated on August 3rd, 2017. And then was 11 months before NK Googled Shanann Watts, possibly stalking her, and getting to know her through her very public Facebook account. And 17 months later, in April 2018, NK starts her contract at Anadarko, where Chris had been employed, and it's stated in the discovery, Nichol and I discussed her employment as she stated she was fired August 22nd, 2018 from Tasman Geosciences. She reported she was a contracted employee with Anadarko Petroleum through Tasman, and Anadarko had canceled her contract, so Tasman in turn fired her. Now, I want to show you a lot of coincidences, as if there aren't enough coincidences already in this case. Now, we know that NK started her contract at Anadarko at around March-April of 2018. Now, also what happened in March and April of 2018 was Shanann had a sit-down with an attorney at a restaurant to talk about divorce and the laws of divorce in Colorado. And then also we have the other quote-unquote mistress, Amanda McMahon, that said she also slept with Watts, and that happened between February and March 2018. And then we have the quote-unquote gay lover that has spoken about also sleeping with Chris, and states that they had relations on and off from last June up until March or April of also 2018. And then we also have Shanann's friend, Kelly Burke, and the last time she's seen Shanann was that last part of April 2018. And they were both in New Orleans for a Thrive conference. And they were there for about 5 days, she says. Now, at the bottom here, she states that she never saw anything that led her to believe that Shanann and Chris were having problems in their marriage, and that she overheard several conversations with Shanann that she had with Chris on the phone that appeared to be normal. Now, she's on the phone with Chris. Chris is not with her in this New Orleans trip. This is so significant with the two other people, Amanda and Trent Bolt, that are stating that they slept with Chris around the same time frame. And also the same time frame, the Mistress NK starts her contract with Anadarko, where Chris works. This just blows my mind. Oh, I also want to mention I am working on another episode with regards to the people that say they slept with Chris and the actual connection that he could have had with Amanda McMahon. So yeah, the connections with the dates is it's mind-blowing, because no matter what, somebody is covering up their tracks. And I think it's the pathological liar, Chris Watts, and maybe one other person, especially when Shanann wasn't even in town or in the state. That is highly suspicious. Now, I also want to mention that Luke Eppel, who was the foreman for Chris at Anadarko, said that he's been working for them since April 2016, 2 years before NK would start to work for Anadarko as well, and 6 months before NK did this 45-day fitness challenge. So before, when I left off at 17 months later in April 2018, NK starts her contract at Anadarko, and then 19 months later in June 2018, NK and Chris Watts started dating. Now, it's also significant on how these might be true because of the pattern that Chris displays while Shanann is gone. So she was gone at the end of April. We have a couple people that came forward and said that he may have cheated on Shanann during that time while she was gone. And then Shanann leaves for 5 weeks to go visit her family in North Carolina. And guess who's cheating on her? And then she goes on the other trip after she comes home from North Carolina. She goes to another Thrive convention in Arizona. And there he is again, cheating on his wife while she's gone, when he went on his last dinner date with Nichol Kessinger. 21 months later, on August 13th, 2018, Chris Watts annihilates his entire family and disposed them in the most inhumane way ever on his work site, Survey 319. Now let me remind you about the other video I made where NK was telling Chris Watts to prove that he was at the Survey 319 site. I'll try to put the link to that video below. It's more detailed, obviously, but this is from the discovery, and this is her telling the CBI that she told him to prove that he had been to the site. And how he proved it was Chris sent her a picture of the release. Now, why would she be so concerned about proving that he was at this site? And it's kind of weird because she doesn't actually mention that she wanted him to send her a picture of the release, but that's actually what he sent her, but she didn't ask for it. She just wanted him to prove that he was there. So, I mean, you could say that looks a little suspicious, but then we also know that she was employed as the quality control and safety employee. So more than likely, she was the person that got the call that there was something wrong on that Friday beforehand at Survey 319, that there was something wrong with this release. And she's the one that called out for someone to go fix it. And ironically, Chris decides to take it upon himself to go fix that release and also dispose of his family at the same site. And one could also think, did somebody actually do something to this release to make it trigger that there's something wrong at that site, to where Chris would have an excuse to go out to serve E319 and eventually do what he did? I don't know. Sounds a little suspect to me. Now, before I move on to the connections between Shanann Watts and Nichol Kessinger in the year of 2016 until she did her original search on September 1st, 2017. But first, searching Chris on August 3rd, 2017. There's been a lot of speculation that this was a typo in the discovery. And I'll show you two different forms of why this is not a typo. The first one, on August 23rd, 2018, they did a phone collection and interview with Nichol Kessinger. So they retrieved all the data on her phone on August 23rd. So for people who are thinking she did this search on September 1st, 2018, are wrong, because that is not possible. If she gave everything over on August 23rd, how was she going to be able to search September 1st, 2018? So that doesn't even make any sense. And moving on to the second one, which was an article that Crime Online had came out with, and it states, following a series of email exchanges and phone calls with the Weld County District Attorney's Office regarding the reports, Crime Online spoke to Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke on Monday. Rourke said that the report reflect what was shown in the forensic analysis of Nichol Kessinger's phone. The dates to which you are referring in 2017, where it appears she Googled or otherwise searched Shanann, was data that came off her phone, Rourke said. And he also states, and it's in quotes, it's not a typographical error in the report. The detectives are reporting what was contained in the data from her phone. I don't know the answer to the question of why or how those dates ended up in her phone. And there's an obvious answer to that, is that it was her doing the Google search for Shanann September 1st, 2017, a year before the murders. So it also says, asked if the district attorney's office questioned or planned to question Kessinger about the data suggesting she was aware of Chris and Shanann Watts for up to a year before the murders. Rourke said that Chris Watts' guilty plea precluded any need to further probe the results of forensic analysis of Kessinger's phone. So basically, they didn't really give a shit, did they? Just as the rest of the investigation stopped as well. They couldn't look further into things like we as the public have. And Rourke states, we did not get to the point in our investigation of attempting to independently verify that or not because Chris Watts pled guilty. And states in quotes, when you ask me if I have verified that information, the answer to your question is no. Nichol Kessinger told us that she met and started the relationship with the defendant in 2018. So where that anomaly in the data comes from, I can't answer it for you. I don't know the answer to it. What in the world? So it goes on to say, Rourke said that the prosecutors are confident in the results of the murder investigation, which is closed. I have absolutely no reason to investigate Nichol Kessinger at this point in time. He said, and this is not a witch hunt. He says, and I'll quote, my job is to investigate and prosecute who's responsible for the deaths of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. We have done that. I have no information nor any belief that any other criminal defendant is out there who is responsible for the death in any way, shape, or form. And then, of course, the Frederick Police Department did not immediately respond to a request for clarification of their earlier statements about the phone data review. And Shanann had then quit that job on April 8, 2017, after working there for 4 years. If the sponsors had gotten a booth at this event, it's possible she met Shanann at that point. And now going back to the September 1st, 2017 search that NK did on her phone, if you go to Shanann Watts' Facebook page with her life on Facebook, that same day, September 1st, 2017, she was at Littleton Adventist Hospital. And that was the same day NK was Googling her. So that's two possible suggestions. Also, both being hospitals, which is kind of bizarre. And I'm thinking maybe if NK was on Shanann's Facebook that day and she seen these people giving her flowers, I'm sure she had a little bit of envy at that point. And here's some extra posts that Shanann Watts took of the kids at the hospital, the same hospital that sponsored the 45-day challenge, in order by date. And also a very important post to note would be a text between Shanann and Chris about their baby Nico on June 19th, 2018. And Shanann states, "I love Chris. He's the best dad us girls could ask for." I hate reading stuff like that. It's so tragic. Now, we know that NK has Googled Shanann and Chris, and she also Googled their Facebook accounts as well towards the end of the relationship in the discovery. So I'm sure, possibly being the nosy mistress, she was probably watching Chris and Shanann's Facebook pages like a hawk. So not only would she have seen the pregnancy announcement video that they did together, she would have also seen this post on June 19, 2018. Then it would be quite obvious that NK already knew that Shanann was pregnant, and she lied once again to investigators. And then 11 days after this baby post, and possibly had seen that post and the video, so 11 days after these posts, NK is texting Chris that we have screenshots of, and she states on there that her friend was in a similar situation like this, being a mistress, obviously, and she expresses that it doesn't bother her, and she's not going to stop. She's not going to stop seeing him, and she has made up her mind. And then on top of that madness, she says and asks, "Are we bad people?" So she clearly knew what she was doing was wrong and did not care about breaking a family up on purpose. So moving on to August 30th, 2018, Anthony Brown, who also works at Anadarko, said in his CBI interview that he had seen Nikki and Chris near the break room standing extremely close. And that happened about 5 months prior. So this means that they were getting close between March and April. April, again, is when she started working at Anadarko, but they both say they started talking in June. So even if they did start talking in May or June, that's only 2 to 3 months of dating before he annihilated his entire family. Whatever he felt for NK in 2 months was enough for him to want to start fresh, and he knew it would be hard with his family in the picture. And also, on the other hand, NK's feelings were so strong in the short 2-month time frame, 21 months after her first search, 2 months into a brand new relationship, after not caring of what she was doing as proven in texts. She then Googles "marrying your mistress," which Chris also confirmed in his jailhouse interview, and also Googled for over 2 hours, you guessed it, wedding dresses. And then you have my other video that I did where the family was only missing, and Chris is talking about Shanann's wedding ring, and NK tells Chris to pawn it. They were only missing at that point. I will link the description of that as well. And also, one day after they went missing, she is searching, can cops trace text messages? And how long do phone companies keep text messages? And both of those searches were deleted by NK herself, along with any correspondence she had with Chris Watts. So that wraps up this video. Please let me know what you think below. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching.